But we'll go ahead and just record this, and that way she can watch it later. So, how far did you get in the book?
I got to, hold on, I have to find it and see what chapter I'm reading. I read chapter 4, so I basically am starting at chapter
4. Okay. How far in the workbook did you get? Did you do chapters 1 through 4 in that too, or?
No, not yet.
All right, so we'll go ahead and go over those anyway. And let's see. So I like the book so far.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, alrighty. So we'll start back on page 8, I guess. So we had a lot of words that were in context. So, if it's in context, you can kind of figure out what it means. So the first one, they had despised. What did you say despised meant?
Like very, like mad at someone.
Yeah, basically.
Did not like someone at all.
Right. Very good. Okay, what about number 2, shebang?
I was confused on that.
Okay, well, sometimes they talk about, you're going to have a big shebang. That's like the whole thing, like a big thing that's going to happen, like a big surprise or, big thing that's going to come about or fall apart or, so it's kind of like a big, big event. Or the whole thing, like sometimes they'll say like the whole enchilada. It means like the whole thing, loaded up with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, number 3, we've got any fun. Ellie corrected her primly. So primly would be like what?
I don't know how to explain it. I couldn't figure out how to put it in words. It was like.
Okay. Let's see what old Webster says. Kind of formal or proper.
I thought it said primely.
If it had to be, it would be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 4, nauseatingly.
Like sickening in a way?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Pudgy.
Like. I have no clue on that one.
Okay. Pudgy is like you're not really fat, but you're just a little bit, a little plump.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, he's talking about his little sister, so she's still got that little baby fat going on. So that's where that came from. Okay. Okay. Then number 6, pandemonium. Every Friday they would have music class, so they were listening to it.
Loud music, like.
Yeah, it's like a big, loudness, exciting, and they couldn't wait to get in there. It was just pandemonium. It's kind of like chaos, but it's organized, because they really enjoyed it. But so they spent their allotted half hour with Miss Edmonds. So allotted would be
like long.
And that's like the time that they were given. They said, you got your class from this time to this time, and allotted that's what time you get. When that time's over, your class is done, basically. So, like if you take a test and they say you've got 1 hour to complete this, whether it's done or not, at 1 hour, you're done.
Okay.
Okay. What about cagey? Cagey girls.
like, I don't know, like, not sassy, but like uptight in a way. That's
Yeah. Yeah, they were kind of clever. They were kind of, oh, how do I want to say it? Like, they were too smart to be caught up in something. They were, they always figured out a way to get out of things. Yeah. Like the girls manipulated mom somehow, so they always got out of their chores, and he ended up getting everything that he had to do. So it wasn't quite fair. All right, then we're going to talk about the characters. So page 10. So these sentences tell you a little bit about Jess's character, which is the boy. So explain what the sentences tells you about Jess. For example, he never learned to run properly, but he was long-legged for a 10-year-old, and no one had more grit than he. So you could say, well, he was a determined boy, and when he really wanted to do something, if he wanted it done, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1, Jess had finished all the picking and helped his mother can the beans.
So he's a hard worker.
Right? Okay. So he was given a task to do, and he worked at it and got it done. He worked hard. Okay. Alrighty. Number 2, you ought to be in bed, he said huffily, mad at himself for cutting her down. So he's talking about his little sister.
Like he's being like, I guess, the grown up in this.
Yeah, basically. Because he realizes, yeah, she's just a kid. She doesn't understand. Okay. Number 3, it made Jess ache inside to watch his dad grab the little ones to his shoulder or lean down and hug them.
Like, I don't know, how would you say that? Like, he was being.
Well, I think, is he the oldest? I guess he's the oldest, maybe. And he sees the two little girls run up to dad. He picks them up, hugs them, kisses them. He wishes he had that with his dad, but he's too old for that. And I guess him and his dad never had that kind of relationship. So he wishes that he did. He wishes he could be a kid again and his dad would love on him. Because basically his dad doesn't love on him and tell him he loves him. He don't even really talk to him. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, number 4. Because he was more tired than usual, he had to push himself harder.
That it's like he knows that he has to make, like, he doesn't, it kind of hints that he doesn't like being not helpful, I guess you could say.
Okay.
He has to push himself.
He was. And he spent that day before, he did his run in the morning, helped his mom, helped his sisters and all that. And he woke up the next day and he was more tired than usual because he had put his whole heart into doing everything the day before, but he knew if he wanted to get things done and he wanted to do his run, he was going to have to get up and just do it. And sometimes we feel that way too. It's like, yeah, I don't feel like getting up. It's been a rough weekend. But I know I got to go do this today and that. Yeah. And you just have to go through it and do it. All right. So questions. What does Jess do in the morning before he begins the milking? What's the first thing he does in the morning?
Oh, I remember it, but I don't.
What's his favorite hobby or thing that he's wanting?
Like drawing or.
He likes that.
He likes
physical activity.
Running?
Running, yes. He gets up and he goes off on his run first thing in the morning. So what is his ambition? What does he want to accomplish through all this running?
to be the fastest runner in, was it his class or is it?
Yeah, in the fifth grade, but it's like, you know, second, third, and fourth, and fifth, so he'd be the fastest in all those classes. Okay, page 11. What does Jess like to do in the privacy of his room?
Is that drawing?
That's the drawing, yeah. What does he like to draw?
Like, I don't know, could you say mythical things?
Yeah, because he does animals, but he does them in doing weird things, and
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen that drawing he was talking about with the elephant, with the hippopotamus. I think it was. That would have been kind of funny. Okay, Miss Edmonds, that's the music teacher. How is she different from the other teachers?
She's kind of just like, in the book, they referred to her as like a hippie, I think.
Yeah.
And she's kind of just like, let it go.
Yeah. And she wears pants, which none of the other ladies wear pants, but, you know, and she's just at ease with herself. She's just like, you know, I'm just going to be out here and just do this, you know, and not be stiff and stuffy, you know, like some teachers used to be like that, you know, back then. So she calls Jess the proverbial diamond in the rough. What's that mean?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Well, where does the diamond come from? Do you know?
Like mines, I guess.
It starts out as coal.
And
And
then heat it up.
the process of heating and how it goes, that comes out to be a diamond. So if you're a diamond in the rough, that means you might just be a little piece of coal, but through your experiences and things, you may be a diamond someday. You know, if he has the right art teacher and the right, you know, training and things. So what she is saying is he's got the right skills to be a good artist. He just, you know, needs the training.
He just needs to fully.
Yeah. Okay. So number 5, why does Jess have a hard time deciding if Leslie is a girl or a boy?
Because doesn't Leslie kind of like hang around with the boys more?
Yeah, and she's got short hair.
Yeah, she's got
a picture in the book of her sitting on the fence, and you couldn't tell by looking at the picture. You could not tell at all.
Nope.
So that was why. She had short hair, and her name, that can be a boy's name or a girl's name.
Mm-hmm.
I had an uncle named Leslie. He was a boy, obviously. So, and I know a girl named Leslie. So it's one of those names. All right. What does Jess think about his 2 older sisters?
Like, I don't know. He doesn't like them.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't remember this part of the book. I don't remember why I didn't like them.
Well, they always get their way.
Yeah.
And they get out of doing work. Like
they don't work as hard. Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to go school shopping, but they had no money. And Mom's like, we have no money. And so they're like, oh, Dad's going to give us $5. And it's like, you know, here they get to take off for the day and do what they want to. And poor Jess, he's like, okay.
We're working at the house.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. It's not fair, you know?
Nope.
Okay. What does he feel about his younger sisters?
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. They're kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one's name? The real
I don't remember their names.
The one that's 4, she's still kind of a baby. And every time he says something to her, or if he taps her on the head or whatever, she's going to bust out crying, because she did. And Joyce Ann, that was the baby. So he don't really like to be around her much because she cries a lot and you can't have a conversation with her. But his other little sister, that was the one, Maybelle. She was like 6 or 7. And, you know, she was at the age where you could have a conversation with her. and things like that. And he and her were kind of tight. You know, they took care of each other. And okay, all right. Page 12, foreshadowing, number 8. So foreshadowing is when they do events in the story and it kind of gives you a feeling that something good is going to happen later or something bad's going to happen later. So you've got at the end of chapter 1, he says he thought later how peculiar it was that here was probably the biggest thing in his life and he had shrugged it off as nothing. So that was at the end of chapter 1. So what, let me go back here. End of chapter 1. Yeah. So what was he trying to say, you think? Or how does that let you know that something's going to happen? Something big.
Because he had not paid attention to it or anything, and
Yeah.
really, that's how it usually goes though. Because like they'll not pay attention to it, forget about it, and then big thing happens.
Yeah. So Jess and her family were moving in, and he was just like, "Oh, great," you know. He didn't really think nothing of it, and then later on, they become friends. It's weird, but okay. So, all right. So it leads you to expect something's going to happen with him and Leslie later on, you know, which is what the whole story is about. So, okay, number 9. Jess recalls telling his father that he wanted to be an artist when he grew up. What does Dad think about that?
He doesn't like it because he thinks he should work hard and stuff like that.
Yeah. He's like, you ain't gonna make no money being an artist. Come on, get to the real world, you know. Yeah. So how does that make Jess feel?
It kind of sad because it's what he loves to do.
Yeah, it's like, you know, your parents are supposed to
encourage you up to what you want to do.
Right. And he's just like tearing him down. Like, nope, you can't do that. Forget it. That's a stupid idea, you know? Okay. Number 10, Miss Edmonds has not yet appeared in the story except in his mind, okay? So what phrases does the author use to describe her the way Jess sees her? As you know, he's got a crush on her. So how does he see her?
Kind of like as he has her built up in his mind.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. She's got all the right things to say, and she's just relaxed, and she's just over the top with everything. You know, he just loves her to death, and he thinks, you know, that she loves him too, which, you know, she does as a student, and he says it's not the gushy kind of love, you know, with girls and boys. He said it's more deeper than that, you know. So, and of course, you know, a lot of kids have crushes on their teachers. You know, that's normal. Okay. Number 11, Jess refers to Miss Edmonds as his fellow outlaw and says that they don't belong at Lark Creek. Why does he feel that way about him and her?
Like, I don't know.
Well, he feels like he doesn't fit in, right? He's
okay.
Not like everybody else, and she's not like everybody else. Here she is. She sits on the floor with the kids and sings and plays the instruments. She wears jeans. She lets her hair just hang down. So she's not fitting in. So they're both kind of outsiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody else at Lark Creek is kind of stuffy and just kind of in the same category with everybody else. You know, nobody's really different except for those two. So that's where he's coming up with that. Chapter 2. Number 12 on page 13. In chapter 2, when Jess talks to Miss Edmonds about his picture, she tells him he's unusually talented and to keep it up. Jess believes that this means she thinks he is the best. Do you think she thinks he's the best? What do you think she means?
I think she means like he's very, very talented, but it doesn't particularly mean that she thinks he's the best.
Right.
But she wants him to keep on going with it to see if he can become better.
Yeah, she's trying to build him up and make him feel good and, basically, yes. Okay. So, how does your family like Jess's family? Or are they different?
I mean, I have an annoying little brother.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. He can be annoying.
Yeah, that's part of growing up. I had an annoying sister. She was 6 years younger than me. And it's like, yeah. But, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And, that's why they call it being siblings. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Jess's relationship with his dad? What was that like?
Not very close.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're pretty far apart because of because him and his dad both want, like, completely opposite things.
Yeah. And his dad is gone from sun up to sundown working in another town. And I guess he's got some kind of construction job or something like that. And so he comes home and he's so tired and he doesn't want to talk to anybody except he spends time hugging on the girls, and it's just, he doesn't even talk to him. It's pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Ephesians 5:33, lessons about relationships within the family. Let me see what that says here. Go back. No, go back. All righty. Ephesians. Okay, 5:33. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she is reverence of her husband. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So basically, in those verses, the husband is supposed to protect and take care of the wife. The wife is supposed to be obedient to the husband and take care of him. The children are supposed to obey their parents, but the parents are not supposed to provoke the kids so that they are angry and lash out, right? Like, you and your brother, you'll pick at each other until you start jabbing at each other and, end up, fist fighting or pushing each other. Your parents are not supposed to do those kinds of things too. Okay. So how do you think Jess can make things better with his family? Or can he?
Maybe if he, spends more time with them, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Makes up some way for the whole family to spend time together and talk to each other.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to take some work, but they're a poor family and they spend all their time just trying to make it. And I mean, us today, we're not really poor, but a lot of us are working from paycheck to paycheck, and we are so busy doing everything that we don't take the time to spend time with each other and just enjoy each other, so. Okay. Do you see that need for improvement in your family?
Yeah, maybe, but we spend a lot of time with each other because of the now because we're all quarantined and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So we get a lot of time spent with each other.
Sometimes too much.
So I've kind of been staying. That's why I've been doing all my classes in my room.
Yeah.
And Tab's doing it in the computer room downstairs.
Yeah.
And even now, he keeps texting me on my phone. He's like, how do I join the class? I was like, did you type in the numbers right?
So
like, yeah.
All right, let's go on to chapter 3 and 4. So on page 14, and you don't have these done, I guess, but we'll go over them anyway. All right, so we got vocabulary words, and we're going to pick the one that goes closest to what that word means. So roused, which one do you think that's going to be?
Like hurried?
Okay. I would say awoke, because if you rouse somebody from sleep, you're waking them up.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think. Yeah, they have awoke. Okay. What about smirked?
Conceited smile.
Yeah, a conceited smile. Okay. All right, distribution.
Couldn't you make that sorting and giving out?
Actually giving it out. If you distribute something, you're handing it out.
Oh, okay.
Pure repulsive. So if something is repulsive, it's like yuck. Don't like it.
So loathsome?
Yeah, loathsome. Okay. Conspicuous. Something that's
obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. You can really see it plainly. Okay. Sarcasm.
Like, sarcasm is when you say something, but like you don't mean it.
Right. So it would be criticism. Okay. Grudgingly.
Say willingly.
Nope. If you have a grudge against somebody, you're holding bad feelings about them.
Yeah.
So you would be reluctant. So reluctantly, because you don't want to spend time with them, or you don't want to do that. Okay. Consolation. Say you don't win first prize, but you get a consolation prize. So you still get something.
So comfort?
Comfort. Mm-hmm. Okay. Melodic.
I have no clue about that one.
If you're singing a melody, that's what?
Like,
has to do with music.
Yeah.
Okay.
So be musical?
Yep. Okay. Ominously. So you've got a storm coming. The sky is dark. Clouds look bad. It looks ominous, so it looks kind of
dangerous.
Dangerous. Mm-hmm. Intoxicated. You're drunk, basically.
Oh.
Okay, number 12, tyrant.
What's despot?
That is a tyrant. That was somebody that would be trying to control everything. It's their way or nobody else's.
Okay.
Yeah. Sacred.
Private?
No.
Unknown.
Dedicated.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a special thing. So if you got a sacred spot, that means that spot's dedicated to, you know, someone's memory or whatever it might be.
Oh, okay.
Solemn.
Stately?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Similes. Comparing using like or as. Let's see. So we've got to find these in chapter 3 and 4. Okay, here's 3. So they've got surprise swooshed up from the class, like steam from a released radiator cap. So the surprise compares to the released steam. So in number 2, Jess planned to give old Fulcher, which was one of the boys in the other class, I think he was in the same grade. He gave him a little surprise come noon. It was as though he had blank. He could hardly wait. So let me see. I remember reading it. Let's see what he said here. Yeah. It was as though he had, okay, so swallowed grasshoppers. That's what we put in the blank.
Okay.
So what would compare to what in that one? So it was as though he had swallowed grasshoppers. So I would say swallowing grasshoppers, right?
Yeah.
Compares to him being excited, right? Because he was going to give him a little surprise and he could hardly wait for it. So he was just excited about it.
So his excitement and
compares to the swallowing grasshoppers. Let me see here. The boys quivered on the edge of their seats like moths fighting to be freed.
okay.
So the boys are getting ready to go to recess. They already let the girls go. And so they're sitting there waiting. So if they are, so they're, the boys are being compared to the moths, right? Because if a moth is caged up, he's waiting to get free. He's going to do anything until he gets loose. Okay, number 4. Gary lowered his head like, look it up here, a bull. So Gary lowered his head like a bull.
So it's comparing Gary and a bull?
Right. She gave him a look with those blue eyes of hers that made him zing like one of the strings she was strumming. So it's talking about Miss Edmonds playing the guitar.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's her eye, wait, him compared to one of the strings she was strumming?
The zing that he felt, yeah, was compared to the strings of a guitar when you play them. Okay. Number 6, he was drifting. Drifting like a fat, white, lazy cloud.
Oh, hold on, I have to turn the page. Like a, what was it?
Fat, white, lazy cloud. So he was in the woods, and so he was drifting on that creek bed, just like the cloud drifts across the sky, basically. So he's comparing how the cloud goes across the sky to him drifting across the creek bed. Okay, number 7. There were parts of the woods that Jess did not like. Dark places where it was almost like being underwater.
So is he comparing the woods to like being underwater?
Yeah. All right. First impressions. That's how you first see somebody or something and you think, well, maybe they're a nice person, maybe they're not, you know, maybe they're rich, maybe they're not, maybe they're going to be a nice person, you know, whatever. So how does Leslie look on the first day of school, and how does that compare to everybody else?
He didn't have his nicest clothes. Like,
okay, what about Leslie?
Oh, I was.
It's okay.
Obviously different.
Yeah, she wore different clothes,
like,
because she came from money a little bit.
So she was like more expensive clothes, I guess.
Yeah. And she seemed not to care what everybody else thought. Right? I mean, me, if I was starting a new school and didn't know anybody, I'd be so quiet. I'd be sitting off in a corner somewhere, you know, until you made a friend. Yeah. But she wasn't like that, you know. So she's not really dressed better than everybody, but she's
different.
Yeah, faded off, blue jeans, you know, and no socks with her gym shoes. Everybody else is dressed up for the first day of school. So they thought that was weird. So they weren't really sure how to take her. They didn't really like her because she really didn't fit in at first, you know. And I mean, if you go to a new place like that, you don't really know how you're supposed to dress, you know. Unless you got a uniform, that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Okay. Why does Jess ask Leslie to join the races?
Probably to see, I don't know, to beat her, I guess, in a way. Or, I don't know.
He got mad at Gary, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, they were doing their races, and Gary says, you know, next you're going to let some girl go, and Jess steps up and he says, why not? Come on, Leslie, just come on and join us, you know. And Gary was like, what? You know, because there was 2 of them that tied on the race, I guess. And Gary was like, well, no, this one won. And the others were like, no, this one won. And they got into a fight over it. And Jess was like, well, just let them both run in the finals, you know, and then just whatever. And then ended up being Leslie came in there. Because he's like, okay. So Leslie and her family, they moved to Lark Creek and they moved to the farm. And they came from the suburbs. So they had lived in the city, and here they go moving out in the country. Jess couldn't figure that out. So why did they move? Why did they come out to the country?
Did her parents get job or something like that? Or am I thinking of another? Didn't
Her parents were both authors. They wrote books. But why did they leave the city?
I don't remember.
Okay. They kind of wanted to spend more time with each other, and instead of just having everything given to them, you know, they kind of wanted to rethink what they were doing with their life. You know, yeah, they had money, they could get whatever they wanted, but they wanted to slow things down a bit. So they bought a farm that they could fix up and be more together as a family. That's what the goal was, I think. So number 4, 17. When Jess is assigned to write about his favorite hobby, what does he choose to write about?
Did he write about drawing, or was it?
Wanted to, but he
wanted to talk about drawing, but did he? Football.
Yeah, he hates football, but he wrote about it because he knew everybody would make fun of him if he talked about how much he enjoyed writing. So number 5, Leslie wrote about scuba diving. So you're underwater, down in the dark, looking at things. How did he feel about that? Because the teacher read hers.
Wait, what was it? Sorry.
Number 5, when the teacher's reading Leslie's about that she enjoys scuba diving, how did that make Jess feel?
Probably like, well, that's pretty cool, or like, because he didn't write about something he truly liked.
Yeah.
I wish I liked something like cool.
Yeah. It terrified him though, because you know, back in the woods back there, he said he didn't like the dark places because it was spooky. Well, being underwater was spooky, you know, because you got all this stuff around you, it's dark. So he almost, as he was listening to that, it almost was like he was underwater with her and he felt like he was drowning and it was scary.
Yeah.
So what happens when Jess tries to draw the quivering light about him?
I don't know.
Wait. So they were out in the woods, they had their place. So he was sitting in their little fort, castle, whatever you want to call it. And he was trying to draw the things around him, but he could not draw the trees. It was just something about it he couldn't, but why not?
I don't know. Wait.
Okay. They just seemed lifeless. They seemed dead. So he couldn't capture how the trees would be magical. You know, I don't know, it was just very hard for him. So, all right, number 7. Why won't Jess show his drawing to Gary?
He thinks maybe it's because I remember right. He doesn't want to get made fun of, I guess.
Yeah. And he knows Gary would do that. Okay. On the playground, the girls have their section, the boys have their section, they have their games. So there's like some unwritten rules about where they're all supposed to be and what you do and you don't do. How did Leslie break the rules?
Oh, I don't remember. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So the little girls, they used one part of the place for hopscotch, jump roping, things like that. The older boys, they got the field for playing football or for running. Some of the others used the other part for, you know, walking around or, doing just whatever they wanted to. Okay, well, Leslie didn't stay with the girls' part, for one thing, so that was a no-no. The girls stayed over here, boys stayed over here. But she took part in coming over to the boys' races. So number one, she came to the boys' side. Number two, she wanted to race. So they were not very happy about that.
Oh, I might want to flip the page.
Okay, number 9, page 18. In chapter 3, as Jess watches each heat, or the race between two, he becomes more sure that he will win. But Leslie reaches the finish line 3 feet ahead of him. So what was his reaction to her winning?
He's probably like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, how is that possible?
It's like, how did she beat me? And the other boys, they were so shocked, they didn't say nothing either. Okay. All right, number 10. Why do you think Jess challenges Gary a second time on Leslie's behalf?
Kind of to show off, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. He's angry that he lost. So instead of being mad at Leslie, he gets mad at Gary. So that's what he does. So why did Jess avoid Leslie the rest of the day?
Because he was kind of ashamed that he beat her and didn't want to confront her.
Yeah. Okay. So later on, page number 12, caught in the pure delight of the singing, Jess turned and his eyes met Leslie's. He smiled at her. What the heck? There wasn't any reason he couldn't. What was he scared of anyhow? Sometimes he acted like the original yellow-bellied sapsucker. He nodded and smiled again. She smiled back. He felt there in the teacher's room that it was the beginning of a new season in his life, and he chose deliberately to make it so. So even though he was mad at her, here it is, Friday afternoon, after recess, and they're in music class. They look at each other, and she smiles at him. And he was like, okay. So he decided, what?
He was going to kind of forgive. I don't know why he would have to forgive her, but
yeah,
like, let her on his good side.
Yeah. So he thought, I'm going to let things go, and things are going to get better. Okay. So number 13, they create Terabithia because she says we need a place just for us. Why do they need a special place?
Kind of because they need their own, I don't know.
They're both outsiders, right?
Yeah, they're both outsiders that need something they can go to where they can be free.
Right, so they can be themselves, right? So number 14, Leslie was more than his friend. She was his other, more exciting self. His way to Terabithia and all the worlds beyond. So what does the author mean? She was more than his friend. She was his other, more exciting self.
Kind of, she helped him be what he wanted to be, but he couldn't.
Right.
He needed her to be his true self, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we are almost out of time. So this coming week, you're going to do chapter 5 and 6, and then workbook page 21 to 26. And then we will probably have a quiz. I'm thinking about it for the next week, maybe. but I will let y'all know. So, you have any questions or anything?
Nope.
Nope.
But Tav is going to be. You have history with Tav next, right?
Yeah, next.
I have to go down there and make sure
get it set up. Okay.
Okay.
All righty. We'll talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye.